Hey, Stony here with another game of Mechabellum. This is one of the two semi-final games from the weekend tournament Asia. And in this game, we have Blue, which is playing Aerial Specialist. Started off with crawlers, stone crawlers, and added 2 sets of fans. And it's up against Red, Cursed, with Marksman Specialist. And he started with the stone crawlers and arc lights, and he added chaff with 2 sets of fans. I think the first round is going to go with Red as long as these arc lights stay alive. Positioning is just a little unfortunate as the stone crawlers are shouting these arc lights, but I think they'll survive. As long as the arc lights survive, then it should be able to clean up the rest of the army. Yeah. The position is just slightly off, but that's okay. I feel like Red just kept all his chaff and his chaff clear all in a bunch, and that's allowing these stone crawlers to get that additional splash damage. So it's a lot closer than it actually should be. Okay, let's go round 2. Let's see what they do and what sort of cards they get. Subsidized Mustang is an excellent card. I will pick it, especially this early in the game. Senior Manufacturing is also good too. Aerial Spec Senior Manufacturing allows them to go with boats for $50 cheaper. I'm surprised Curse actually skipped, because these were 2 excellent cards. I'm surprised he skipped the cards. I think he really wanted to have something else. Add a 2-pack of crawlers. I really didn't think he needed to skip the card. I think he could have gotten the card and still add the crawlers. For Blue, he chose the Senior Manufacturing. Makes sense. And he picked a pack of Wasps. This is a good decision because on the other side, there is only 2 marksmen dealing with the Wasps. Alright, so Red is still going to win. Oh, actually no, I think the Wasp is going to take care of the Marksman. But Red does have more chaff and of course chaff clear here. But because of these Wasps, it's just pulling a lot of firepower and also taking out the arc lights that were a critical part of the Red's army. So round 2 goes to Blue. Alright, let's take round 3. I think there should be a boat somewhere from Blue. Wasp Swarm is pretty good. Heavy armor is pretty good as well. If Blue were to put down a boat right now with heavy armor, especially on this side, it could do a lot of damage. However, he needs to be very careful with the Aerial Specialist, especially now there's already 2 marksmen on the board. For Red, I think what Red can do is to really limit the damage that these stone crawlers cost. One way to do it is just to put a set of fans in horizontal setup right here against the line. The fans will walk forward, probably not against the line, maybe 2 squares below the line. The fans will walk forward, will draw the initial volley from the stone crawlers, and they will most likely miss, and engage this pack of fans and hopefully draw even a second volley from the stone crawlers, because what that allows them to do is to get these fans up here and continue to provide chaff. For Red, he ended up taking range on the arc lights and added 2 more extra fans, just a late arriving chaff. For Blue, continue to add on more fans, upgraded the Wasps. Yeah. So as you can see right now, this problem of just arc lights dying a little too early, it will continue to be a problem until he fixes against the stone crawlers by putting maybe something up front. And this is right now actually the primary reason why red is losing. Right? As you can see, the fans, they do a decent job against these wasps, but what is probably worse is the arclights dying too early and not clearing up this chaff. Once the chaff is clear, I think the rest of the army, marksman, stonecaller, should have a pretty good time against the opposing force. So let's hope that red pick up on that and either put missile defense, which could be a slight overcommitment, or simply just put a set of fans 2 squares from the line. All right, unit drop was offered. Red took Mustang. I think it's a good option. It provides defense against the wasps. It also provides ultra late chaff clear as well as being chaffed themselves. The early game, he's still not responding to the Stonecrawlers. I think they're just getting a little bit too much value by killing the Arclights. However, now the Arclights are level 2. They might survive just a bit longer. Blue took the Rhino with a heavy armor. I'm not entirely sure about the positioning of this Rhino right here. I mean, I get it, he wants to get tower, but why not position it on the other side away from the level 3 marksman? I think this one, I'm not sure about this. Interestingly, oh, there it is. That's the reason why I put it this way. So he wants to actually draw the fire from the Stonecrawlers. So he put the Rhino and puts the crawlers up front, and it's gonna walk across to the weaker side. So that makes a lot of sense. If you were to just go for this tower against the level 3 marksman, that would have been disastrous for the level 2 Rhino, even with the heavy armor. Blue also took range on the Arclights. I think partially it was in anticipation for the Mustangs, but in general it's just a good units to do chaff clear with. For red, he added another pack of Stonecrawlers. He still did not add anything at front, but that's okay because the Mustangs are now going to the front and tank for these Arclights. I believe these Stonecrawlers will still lock onto the Arclights because it wasn't able to kill it for the first couple volleys, so it'll continue to lock onto these Arclights. Unfortunately, the tower debuff is just in the nick of time while the Stonecrawlers are alive, so these Stonecrawlers are going to do a tremendous amount of damage. One thing I noticed about this game is that both players actually pick their units very quickly. I don't usually set my boards up as quickly because I like to think about it, talk myself through the rationale behind these moves. But I feel like these guys seem to know what they're doing. I really hope red have an answer. Right now he has a couple options. He can either do fans up front. He could put crawlers behind the towers, which will arrive a little bit, actually maybe not above the below the towers, maybe above the towers, so it will still tank that initial damage. But whatever it is, I think he needs to tank a few more shots from these Stonecrawlers. He took Mustang production, anticipating a giant in the future, or right now with the melting point. And as for blue, let's see. Mobilized Battleship is interesting if he is going Battleship. He can do Mustang production on his own. He can put it on a Battleship as well. I feel like the melting point might be a slight overreaction. I think the only good units that the melting point is really strong against on the board is this Rhino, but it might be an overkill because these marksmen can take care of the Rhino just fine. But I think ultimately what he really wanted was just to get the Mustang production card here, just to create a bit more chaff, a bit more chaos. All right, the Rhino continued to run over. Red added a pack of Stonecrawlers as well as a pack of fans. Just a very healthy board with lots of chaff at multiple waves. And as you can see here, this melting point, Kind of stuck on chaff a little bit, and it will continue to stuck on chaff because the timing of it is just fantastic. The Rhino will actually get to the tower once again, debuffing the tower. And that allows Blue's board, in particular the Stonecallers, to just rain down destruction on the Red's board. I think there's nothing severely wrong with Red's boards, maybe with the exception of that overcommitment with Melting Point. I think what he really needs to work with is just the timing of his chaff. Alright, another free unit round. Fortress. Could go with the Melting Point at the front or even tank. But he immediately sold the Fortress in favor of perhaps more Melting Point, I'm not sure. I think at this point, with 3 sets of high explosive Stonecrawlers, they're getting so much value with chaff gear. I wouldn't be surprised if him just to put down a few anti-missiles. Imagine if these 3 Stonecrawlers were nullified. How much work can these chaff really do, right? Blue took the level 2 Fortress with range, so it can more effectively combat the Melting Point. Blue should be pretty confident with his chaff clear abilities. He's got 6 range arc lights, 3 high explosive Stonecrawlers, and now bringing in the Giants, dealing that additional damage to the Melting Points. Red, instead of taking range, actually took crawler production. Was slightly confused on why he chose not to, do anything against these Stonecrawlers. I just feel like they're getting a little bit too much value with the chaff clear, which is currently over, I would say, 70% of the Red's board. I would love to see that. As a matter of fact, Blue actually took double tech, so he got range and launcher overload. With chaff coming in from Red, this probably won't do too much, but without it, these launcher overload fortresses are going to absolutely walk over Red's board. It doesn't matter if it's got Melting Point, because as you can see, this fortress engages, shoots, and boom, there goes the Melting Point. Same thing here, engages, shoots, right? And this one's got heavy armor, so it might take out one of these. Yeah, heavy armor is paying off here, so he's able to tank that shot. But tower debuff is gonna happen. The Stonecaller is just getting so much value. If I were to put down a bet, I'll probably bet on Blue, which I will. Okay, so Blue has a few issues. First of all, he still has the issue of the Stonecrawlers just doing way too much damage. Secondly, if it responds a bit late against these double-tapped fortresses, they will absolutely run you over. Sledgehammers with heal. This is an interesting move. I think what Blue is noticing is that damage coming from Red, or at least the chaff clear damage, is primarily these Mustangs and these arc lights. So with heal, it's going to do a lot more, and it doesn't matter if the Melting Point locks onto these tanks, because Melting Point will have to charge up for every single one of these tanks, and there are 15 of them. Heal also works well because Red sold the level 3 marksman, so there's nothing to one-shot these sledgehammers. So these sledgehammers are going to survive for a very long time as more of a medium line chaff. So that just means it's going to tank a lot of damage from these Melting Points and also from these Mustangs. Look at these Mustangs trying to DPS down this tank right here, and how much time it takes to get that. With all this time being used to DPS down chaff, that allows Blue to get in there with the fortresses and to take care of these Melting Points. Now, good thing with Red on this turn is because of the wave of crawler that's coming out. This one here with the heavy armor is doing a lot of work because that's effectively tanking 2 fortresses from being able to get them. The high explosive on the Stonecrawlers is also doing great. Another heavy armor going on to the other melting point, and with level. So that is that's a lot of hit points for these fortresses to go through. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these players started to put down missile defenses. I feel like they both currently have a bit of a chat problem, with blue probably at a worse position with chaff. As you can see from the last game, the fortresses were still clearing up chaff, and at the time it wasn't even real chaff, it was just Mustangs. The Mustangs, after they've done their job of chaff clear, now move ahead of the melting points, providing additional chaff screen for the fortresses. So that allows the melting points, even though there's only 3 of them, but is enough to handle the 4 fortresses with double tap. So let's see if red turns around. I think red is in a good position to turn this around. He does have a level 3 Stonecrawler, so even with HE, he does do a lot of damage. Blue started to put in now missile defense, which I think is the correct decision. He might need another one. Oh, there it is. So they have 5 missile defense for 5 squads of Stonecrawlers. There is oil, so I wonder if there is... No, so it's just oil for the sake of oil. Okay. Now, without any sort of missile defense, I think the Stonecrawlers should be able to clear up the Mustangs, and it's already doing its work over here. Now the real problem is that after the Mustangs are gone, or after the chaff is gone, oh, there it is. So we are getting some good damage over onto this melting point, but the heavy armor is just providing so much value, right? It's almost bringing down this fortress as well. But with the chaff gone, I think blue is at advantage. He's not able to take the round, I believe, but he is going to bring that health down really low within striking distance next turn. And if I were red, I probably would read the board and notice that these Stonecrawlers have been just contributing so much to the state of the game. And Stormcrawlers, and now with launcher overload. I'm not entirely sold on launcher overload. I get it, right? So blue has 2 speed spectras, which means they're going to move forward fantastically. Launcher overload is a bit risky. It does reduce their range. He took extended range Stormcrawlers, but here's the problem. I think it's more to do with damage. Let's see. Level 1 Stormcrawler with extended range, with launcher overload, and with HE does 361 damage. So it takes 2 shots. Okay, it still works. But it does take 2 shots to go against these Mustangs, but because of the HE, the shots will have a larger spread, which means every individual missile will overlap the previous ones. For red, this is a desperate final struggle, so we have we have underground threat coming in from the side. This one won't do too much because this arc light will turn and shoot, but he does have delayed wasp kind of going back and forth here. On red side, there's really no anti-air. We got 2 sets of late arriving fans, but aside from that, there's no anti-air. And what red is banking on is for these wasps to stall long enough for these fans to die, and then swooping and take care of the rest of the game. The problem with that is you're up against 1 level 3, 1 level 4 fortresses, and if these fortresses stay alive, then this wasp won't be able to kill them. Fortunately, these fortresses are being taken down with the melting point. This one is going to get the center melting point. I'm not sure if this one is going to get the side melting point as well. Doesn't seem like it. Okay. All right, so the wasps are coming in, melting points are getting killed, and now let's see how many anti-missile devices can red actually take. Okay, just one. He could have taken a lot more. Late arriving Typhoon is a thing against those wasps. I think just one set of level 2 Typhoons is going to take care of these two groups of wasps, even if they're level 2, I think. War Factory is useful. Just provide that additional tanking and also a bit of a chaff clear for midline units. On blue side, maybe the Typhoons. War Factory range is good as well, but I don't know if a level 1 War Factory is able to DPS down these leveled melters, especially the ones with heavy armor, so they might go to level 3. These two War Factories are value purchase because they essentially nullify the entire row of double teched Stonecrawlers. Alright, he is pushing, he's adding more tanks. I'm not sure the tanks is a good option because the War Factories eat tanks for breakfast. Tank with armor, I'm not sure. I mean, tank with armor, you're essentially saying, you know, we're trying to keep these ones alive as much as we can. The real threat is bringing down these melting points, and I don't think you can bring down these melting points, and also I don't think you can bring down these War Factories once these tanks has been destroyed. But let's see. These are highly leveled fortresses with range, with the launcher overload, so they do pack a punch. But looking at it right now, I don't think it's enough. Yeah. No, this is not enough. So we got one more fortress, but even then, we have the wasp that's coming in here. I don't think it has enough to even. Yeah, there's no damage for these two left. So it was a very good game. I think Red did a great job despite the fact that it was no real defense against the Stonecrawlers. But in the end, the melting points just grew a little too big, and the fortresses came in with the anti-missile, nullified the board on the blue side. So great game. I hope you enjoyed the cast, and I hope to see you on the next one.